All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to goVirtualOffice's webcast on the top 5 issues solved for your medical device companies. I want to thank everybody for joining us. The purpose of today's webcast is to kind of share the realization of all the major topics that everyone kind of talks about. And what we're planning on doing is talking about those topics, but also showing you within an ERP system how easy it is to have these issues solved. A couple of housekeeping items before we get started. Number one is if you do have any questions or comments within your GoToMeeting tool that you have probably on your screen, there is a place for chat or questions. Please feel free at any time to type a question in there. We will take those questions and answer them probably at the end if we have a few minutes. This series of webcasts is really to be kind of quick, informative. We do plan for about 30 minutes for this. If anybody has any interest in seeing something a little bit further in depth, we can definitely plan that for the future. So the agenda today, we're going to go over a little about who we are, goVirtualOffice and NetSuite. We're going to talk about kind of some major medical device topics that all of you are probably very familiar with. And what we're going to do with those issues and topics is then apply that to how you can see and how you can actually do those tasks within an ERP system. And obviously, we'll be doing that within NetSuite. So. All right, so a little bit about us. Go to the next slide. My name is Jeff Constable. You see there on the right-hand side, I'm a senior account executive here. And I'm joined by Dirk Shimpa, who is a partner and founder here of goVirtualOffice. A little bit about our organization is that, I guess full disclosure is that we are a full-service NetSuite provider. We sell NetSuite. We implement NetSuite, and we train and develop anything that's maybe not native to NetSuite. We have a team about 42, 43 people, and the claim to fame here is that all of us on the team here are former CPAs, CFOs, controllers, people that have been in manufacturing, distribution, you name it. We do have customers and clients all over actually all over North America, and a lot of our senior consultants have that industry experience that they're able to bring real-world experience to your implementation needs. So, next slide. So I guess I want to start out by saying, what you see here is a sample of companies that are using NetSuite. Okay, all of these have to do with medical device, as you probably recognize some of these. There's some customers, obviously, on this list that are pharma related, but they all have something to do with life science. And the topics that we're going to talk about today really are all the same for these organizations, right? So there's a big bucket of, that I'll call a big bucket of issues that everybody, actually our customers talk about. And these are probably all very similar for you guys too, right? Number one is that there's a lot of complex regulations, right? So medical devices are subject to extensive regulations in the U.S., obviously, through and for the FDA, and of course, other governmental agencies in other countries. Another one is a lot of low-cost competition, right? So the value of imported medical devices into the United States has steadily increased over the past decade, or actually 2 decades. And the majority of those imports are really, lower tech products, such as like surgical gloves, maybe other simple types of instruments. Another big issue is healthcare reform, right? So the overall impact of healthcare reform on medical device manufacturers is a little uncertain, but since the details of coverage, or I should say it focuses on the detail of coverage and how reimbursements will be paid are kind of still being finalized or defined, as we all know. Another issue we heard from our customers is the belonging to the group purchasing organizations, GPOs. So obviously negotiating contracts with product suppliers on behalf of cooperatives of healthcare facilities, very critical and important to the medical device manufacturers, knowing who they're actually selling to and how much, things like that. And the other big one I hear about is a lot of industry consolidation, right? So a lot of small medical device firms are faced with a lot of large product development investments, which obviously that leads to merging with larger firms that actually have that financial resources to bring that or those products to market. And there's some other issues too, hybrid technologies, minimally invasive procedures, single-use items. That's all kind of coming into fruition. So again, a lot of what you're hearing today is really coming from customers, right? And from you guys. So if you click the next slide, these are some of the issues that we I guess hear on. These are the major issues that if we take the comments I just made, these are all of them kind of put together. So number one is FDA compliance, right? I don't need to talk to you too much about what FDA compliance is, but that whole 21 CFR Part 11 is just having to be compliant, right? There's electronic records, validation, timestamps, the copies of the records retention, things like that. Number two, as you see here, is the manufacturing guidelines, right? Very similar to compliance, right? It's actually keeping a list of those processes that you're actually taking in your organization. Things like work in progress, the materials, locations, the people involved in making of the product. Number three is supply chain, right? A lot of what we heard from our customers is nothing is connected, right? As far as processes or even just systems in general, right? This includes purchasing, warehousing, the whole track and trace of the items, finished goods, location of the goods, obviously transportation, and even labor and actually understanding, who's touching this from a customer, vendor, supplier perspective. The fourth big issue is visibility, right? Very similar to the supply chain and manufacturing is obviously a lot of disparate systems, right? There's companies that have something for CRM, to keep track of customers. There's something to keep track of shop floor, progress, but there's no true understanding of where products are, who's selling what, who's getting what from a customer perspective. And then lastly, the big one talking about customers is a lot of companies really don't, or I should say our customers before they implemented an ERP system didn't really understand who their customers were. And of course, that all comes down to, the compliance of all the track and trace, right? Being able to do recalls if necessary, and or even to do market withdrawals, changing the market. So go to the next slide. I think we're going to kind of talk about solved issues, right? So if you have an ERP system, or if you're looking to kind of put all those disparate systems, as I mentioned before, on one tool, it's very easy to do. And that's kind of what we're going to show you today. So what you're going to see is a lot of features. There's a lot of out-of-the-box leading practices for manufacturing and distribution, wholesale distribution, right? I think today is really more about the manufacturing. A lot of things that we're going to solve too here today are, multi-company, multi-country, right? If we talk about those different places that maybe if your items are manufacturing outside the United States, being able to keep track of those items, keep track of those customers and vendors, right? A lot of processes too are both discrete and for process manufacturing. And a lot of quality control, right? Being able to that whole track and trace and being able to understand where, what products are from what country or what other vendors, things like that. Of course, compliance, right? Track and trace, keeping track of users and all the role-based processes, which is part of that FDA compliance need. Being able to keep track of, your bill of material, be able to control that and all the revisions tracking. And of course, the other big one is keeping track of all the transactions, right? Every single thing. If you're audited, or when you are audited, having, being able to bring that up in real time and show, who or what or when something was actually done. So what I'm going to have, I'm going to pass the controls over to Dirk here, and what I want him to do is kind of maybe walk through of some of these major issues and show that these can be solved fairly easily. So what Dirk's going to do is show a little bit about NetSuite. Dirk, do you want to kind of sign in there, and then I'll have some very specific questions for you.
Sure, thank you. Yes, I sure will. So again, NetSuite is cloud-based. There's no software to install, nothing to maintain. When we're on the NetSuite website, you'll see this login button here on the right-hand side. And what we log in with an email and a password. So let me log us in. All right. We are logged into NetSuite, Jeff. What's your question?
Excellent. Thank you very much. So you mentioned you logged in, right? And I think one of the major issues that we talked about is tracking or understanding kind of the role that you have in an organization. And obviously different people have different roles, which obviously they're doing different things, right? They have different responsibilities. So are you able to show kind of a dashboard or dashboards of certain roles, whether it's a controller, a manufacturing manager, and types of duties that they have?
Yeah, very good question. So obviously you've seen me log in. I actually logged in, you'll see up here in the right-hand corner, I'm logged in as a senior executive. So this is a CEO or president's role, very much a macro view of the company, a snapshot of, where customer profitability is at, looking at revenue and expenses, maybe see how my expenses are trending or running an AR balance. Again, a high-level view of the financials, bank balances, gross profit, net income, where my weekly cash projection is. So, any of that key information that a CEO would need. And then you can even drill into any of these tabs as well, Jeff, and see everything around sales and expenses, or sales and marketing. Or we could, hit expenses or financials and see more detailed information in each of those areas. But also, as NetSuite is role-based, you mentioned that, maybe I'm in charge of the inventory. So as an inventory manager, when I'm assigned that particular role, you'll see it's about shipping and receiving and inventory. It's about orders to ship, purchase orders to receive. Maybe I got to print some picking tickets, or, see what's all on back order. Again, everything that, somebody in the warehouse would need. Or another example would be maybe sales or CRM or customer service. This is all about leads and prospects and customers. It's tasks to complete, calls to make. So everything that someone in a sales role or customer service would need. So that's a little example about roles.
Good. Thank you, Dirk. And I think a question I have here is that part of the FDA 21 CFR Part 11 is limited system access. So if you have a certain role assigned to you, are you able to see everything else in the organization, or how does that work?
Good question. So no, basically a user in email is assigned a role, and that role is given rights. So you'll notice as a salesperson, there's nothing in here about running a financial system or, maybe, doing a traceability. So the roles definitely control what a person can see and do within the system.
Excellent. Thank you. Appreciate that. So another part of the big issues that organizations have, especially from a manufacturing standpoint, is they have to keep track of any type of records as far as what is being manufactured and the process of something going through their manufacturing stages. So are able to talk a little bit about kind of work in order, or I'm sorry, work in progress, all the way kind of the shipments and how those processes work?
Yeah, so much like we have, roles here for warehousing and inventory, we also have a role for production manager. And again, this is exactly what that is. It is for someone in production to kind of see, okay, what's in each work center, what work orders are out there that I need to build. Maybe I want to firm up some work orders or release work orders. Issue components. Maybe I want to look at a bill of materials or do an inquiry. Again, everything that someone in the manufacturing facility would need to kind of see where stuff is at. What's in a release status. They would be able to get to all of that right with their own dashboard very easily.
Excellent. Perfect. Another topic that we talked about, another issue, is understanding your customers, right? So we talk about understanding, where your device is going from a consumer standpoint. Are you able to talk a little bit about kind of how at least within NetSuite, how I can understand my customers?
Sure.
Who ordered what items did they purchase in the past, things like that. If you think about recalls, for an example, is who has my products? How are you able to do that within the system?
Yeah, so a couple things I'll kind of walk through on like customer searching and so on and so forth. So I'm currently, again, logged in as a sales rep or customer service. We have this feature called Global Search. And I can type in my customer, ABC. If I click here, I open in view mode. If I click here, I open in edit mode. But if I click here, I can actually see a customer dashboard. Super helpful. So this is everything about this customer, where they're located, some phone numbers, some balance information. Maybe I want to, run, what items. Sales, what items have we all sold this customer and when? And you could, run this for given periods and so on and so forth. We could run aging reports. Maybe I want to just look at all my sales orders for this customer. So again, you can get to all of those sales orders, sort, in ascending or descending, and then, right from here, we can even print an order confirmation, or again, I can drill into that particular sales order to see what's going on. And then here's a nice graph of the top 5 items that this particular customer bought. So again, a quick snapshot about everything, that you would need on this customer. And then right from here, we could look up a product list, we could, create an invoice, all of those things. Another thing, though, I wanted to show you, and I'm going to log in here as admin, so from a lot traceability, right, or a serial traceability. So here's a given item, whether it's a lot item or a serialized item, they all affect the same. So if I go to, here's all the serial or lot numbers that we've had in all the history, and then say, okay, well, maybe there's a recall on this particular lot or this serial item, and we want to know where it went. So right from here, I can click, here's my serial lot number, it may have an expiration date, but right from here, I can say search transactions, and I can see, basically everything from the beginning of the time, from a PO receipt to what was billed, to maybe some inventory adjustments, moving it in and out, to, where it was shipped. So, what customer got this particular item. So everything from basically called cradle to grave tracking for both lot and serial track is available in NetSuite.
It seems very easy. All the data is in one spot, and you're able to kind of track, if you will, all the way back to when something was actually manufactured. That's perfect. So my next question that kind of goes in line with this, if you think back, again, I keep on picking about FDA compliance, but a lot of it has to do with records keeping and being able to validate what has actually happened, right? So records retrievable and actually being able to have some kind of audit trail. Are you able to show me an example of, if an auditor does come in, what are some things that they actually that they would actually want to see, and how easy is it to actually show?
Sure. So I'll bring this customer back up, our ABC customer. I'm going to actually bring up the customer record here. And what I want to show you is the System Information tab. And then within System Information, there's System Notes. And what you'll see here is basically the date, the time, the person, whether it was changed in the UI, in the user interface, or if there was a CSV import, or maybe some sort of integration. And then, was it a set or a change, the field, the old value, the new value. So lots, basically everything gets tracked in NetSuite on every possible record, every transaction. So the date, the time, the person, the who, and the what. And just to show you another example of that, there's all sorts of searches. So this is all system notes that have happened. So you can run an entire report on every system note that's out there. And again, we could filter on, well, maybe I want to just look at any system notes for an item. So you can see all of the changes on a given item. Or maybe I'll set this to all, and I want to know what Ruby has all been doing in the system. And again, we could see all of the changes Ruby's made. So very important, when we talk about all the tracking and tracing, is this whole system note feature.
Excellent. So that goes hand in hand with obviously all the workflow checks, the audit trails, just being able to have a simple place to go and check out any kind of records retrievable, right? So who did what, when, and then obviously why. And it seems like it's really easy to do within this NetSuite platform.
Correct.
Good.
Yep.
So the last one is talk a little bit about supply chain, right? Obviously, most ERP systems are connecting all the different departments and processes and things like that. But show me kind of how everything is kind of connected from a supply chain perspective.
Yeah, so a couple things. Let me open up this item record real quick again. So this is our recent records. So I'm going to open up that item record. A couple things I want to point out is the Sales and Purchasing tab. You can have multiple locations within NetSuite. You can have bins within NetSuite, and you'll be able to see, on-hand availability, reorder points, if stuff is on order or if it's committed to a sales order. We can even do container tracking, or if you're moving inventory via a transfer order from one warehouse to another, you'll have full visibility of what's in transit. So that definitely is very important to see all of that on hand and available by location, by bin. But just to kind of quickly walk you through, for example, a purchasing process. So this is a purchase order screen. I'll grab a vendor. That vendor may have a primary location. We can go to add multiple, and I want to order a couple of these items here. So we'll add them in, and I want 2 of this and 4 of this item. The purchase price and all that comes in. All of the shipping and billing information will come in. And pretty much here we were ready. We're expecting to get this here around the middle of the month. And at this point, I could save and print this, or save and email this out to the vendor. So we've now let's just turn on the pop-up blocker so you can see an example of the PO. So now this PO, which is PO 328, went out to the vendor. So now let's say it's a few days later, and again, I'm the inventory manager or the warehouse operations, either one would work the same. You'll see orders to receive. So the shipment comes in, and at this point they'll see all of their POs that are open, and then they'll right within here they'll be able to receive. So I can even do PO 328 as well and bring up this purchase order. And then right from here I can say receive. And as soon as I save this item receipt, if this was a lot or serial tracked item, this is where I would record that. We can enable barcoding and mobile device capturing and all sorts of stuff. So quick example of a PO and an item receipt.
Excellent, thank you. So it sounds really that, with the supply chain, everything is connected. Obviously within NetSuite, you're able to kind of keep track of that customer, where things are coming from. Obviously, purchase orders to particular vendors. You can understand the vendor record, all that kind of stuff. It seems very easy to use. And again, all the information is right there at your fingertips. So good. So those are the five major points. So we kind of go back to the PowerPoint presentation. Those issues can be solved fairly easy, right? So again, from a feature standpoint, what you saw in NetSuite is that you get all these leading practices out of the box within the tool, right? We didn't get too much in the multi-company, multi-country capabilities, but again, with a lot of manufacturing of products being done overseas, or even having particular companies, sister companies, very easy to use as multi-language as well. Again, discrete and process manufacturing capabilities. Didn't get too much into quality control, but from a quality perspective, everything is there to take care of and understand your products. The compliance standpoint, right? Again, I keep on bringing up, FDA, right? The track and trace of not just purchase orders and who your vendors are, but what your customers actually purchased from you, how much they actually purchased from you. The manufacturing process, right? What is happening on the floor? What is happening throughout all of your manufacturing processes, understanding your capacity, those things. And again, also all of your transactions are stamped. Who, where, what, and why. All that information is stored within the tool. Okay, next slide. So in all, if I was to bring up kind of a summary, really if the issues of compliance, having manufacturing guidelines, understanding your supply chain, having total visibility of what's going on within your organization or what's going on with a vendor, and also understanding your customers. Everything is very easy and everything is right there for you to do, okay? So right now I'd like to take some questions. Again, as a reminder, on your GoToMeeting application that you're on now, there is a chat bar or a question bar. If you have anything, please enter it in there and I will definitely read them off. And it looks like we have a couple here, Dirk. The first one is, within this NetSuite tool, what kind of reports come with it or out of the box?
Yeah, good question. So let me jump to that real quick, just to kind of show from an admin standpoint, and I'll go to reports here. As you can see, basically every area within business operations, whether it's in the accounting, whether it's in the sales, whether it's in production, financials, order management, customers and receivables, inventory profitability, marketing, you can see this just goes on and on and on with, just canned reports in every functional area, as well as what I walked you through with all the dashboards and the roles. Those all come shipped, ready to go out of the box with all the leading practices.
And it kind of goes with, and it's kind of feeding my question, if you want to go back to that, Dirk, as you're going through all those, was 100, 200 out-of-the-box reports, are you able to customize those per your liking?
Correct. Yep. You'll see here as I hover over here, I can customize any of this. And again, just to quickly show you the report builder, we can add columns, right here quickly and easily, drag and drop. We can do filters and sorting and all sorts of things. So very, very robust, easy to use reporting.
Excellent. Another question here is, what are general costs of this NetSuite tool? Yeah,
so obviously there's different editions, there's different versions, depending on, what you at least need. Are you more of a distributor? Are you a manufacturer and a distributor? Both. What those needs are. Are you a 5 to 10 user, 20 user environment, or are you 30 to 50 users or more? So the pricing definitely varies on very different aspects, but rough budget numbers, annual license for NetSuite is somewhere between $25,000 to $50,000 a year, and then implementation services are normally around 1.5 to 2 times licensing. So again, implementation services as a one-time cost, typically around $50,000 to $100,000 as a one-time.
And to kind of couple along with that, Dirk, is obviously it sounds like there's different maybe iterations, or maybe depending if you have multi-facility, manufacturing facilities. But how long does something like this take to implement?
Normally, we're from kickoff to go live, we're around 100 to 120 days. So again, when we implement NetSuite, we implement these Suite Success Editions. They're ready to go. All the dashboards, all the roles, all the processes are there. So we're not starting out with a blank slate. So yeah, usually from kickoff to go live is somewhere between 100 to 120 days.
Okay. Last question I have here is, what are some of the immediate benefits? After you implement, I'm guessing the question is like, after you implement this tool or an ERP system, what are some of the benefits that your clients have received?
Yeah,
that they see?
So, right. Obviously having all this in one system, one database, you're going to have streamlined processes. You'll be able to eliminate, various spreadsheets. Your communication within your organization across departments will be improved, because now you're all working off of that one system. No more disparate systems. Reporting and timely information, the ability to make quicker, better decisions are all things that we've seen our clients, immediately get shortly after go live.
Yeah, and one thing I would like to add to that is I did speak with one of our customers. It was a CEO, and I asked him the same question. What are you getting out of this? Since you went live, what do you see so far? And he said there's two big things. Number one is visibility. So Dirk kind of just mentioned that, is all the information is right there. But his big thing is I want to know about inventory. What items do I have? Raw materials, but also finished goods do I have? And then also, where is it? Which facility is it? Whether it's a warehouse or the manufacturer, he's able to easily go in and understand what products are where, and that way he can do some adjusting really quick. He's like, I didn't have that before. It used to take me a couple weeks or a couple days to find out where a particular product was before I could actually move it, so my customers could get it quicker. And now he's like, it takes me maybe 10 seconds, so a couple clicks of a button to understand where things are. So,
right. Yeah.
Good. So if we go back to the PowerPoint, if anybody has any other questions, I would appreciate taking them. But last couple of comments here is, obviously we want to thank you for participating in this. If you do have any other questions, again, we went through a lot of things today, and very high level. If you'd like to see NetSuite, something a bit more kind of in person, a little bit more in depth, whether it's the manufacturing process, how all of those reports can be customized, how you can kind of understand how that whole audit trail works, and be able to receive those reports. We would love to show you. We have our information there on the slide. On the slide. If you have any questions, give us a call. There's the sales at goVirtualOffice. We also have some tools that you can use to understand, some questions maybe to ask internally if you actually need an ERP system. We have a buyer's guide that a lot of companies use to understand what they need and when they need it. But I appreciate everyone's time and look forward to our next webcast. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, everybody.